So this certainly is not the video that I thought we'd be going out there and making, but what we're doing is we're bringing up some comments made by one Jean-Charles Lajoie. Because this popped up on my feed earlier yesterday. I thought it was a crazy idea, absolutely ludicrous, nuts, wacko, lunacy kind of thing. And so what do we do when we see crazy things out there on the internet? We make YouTube videos about them, right? So let's dive into this radio hit on QUB. It's on their YouTube channel. The link is going to be in the description. And in it features Jean-Charles Lajoie going out there and making a very bold prediction. Now, this is all in French, the conversation is in French, all the comments are in French, so we're going over onto an article on HabsFanatics.com that dives into some of these same comments and translates them into English. Here is the title of the piece published by Elias Adam. Martin St. Louis will resign as head coach of the Montreal Canadiens by mutual agreement, according to Jean-Charles Lajoie. Now, I gotta be very clear here. That says resign, one word, not resign as in he'll come back, but resign as in he'll leave. The article goes out there and opens up with this. Following the embarrassing defeat of the Montreal Canadiens against the New York Rangers last night, many analysts are questioning Martin St. Louis' abilities. The fact that the team didn't show up on this night honoring the legends seems to have made things even worse. Of course, the article is bringing up the Habs game from a few nights ago. It was a terrible game, all things considered. I mean, the Montreal Canadiens really didn't show off well. They had some offense and some guys going out there producing points, but they really crapped the bed. I can't go out there and illustrate that enough. And I think for a lot of Habs fans that were watching and eagerly anticipating some sort of a positive, meaningful outcome for this game, even if it wasn't like a straight-up victory, even if the Canadiens just showed off well enough in certain aspects to be hopeful in the future of. At the end of the day, it was 7-2, the team sucked, Martin St. Louis was not able to take these guys and give any form of life into their roster, and so a lot of people were going out there and talking about, hey, the team is still rebuilding, they're not supposed to be good, hey, Martin St. Louis may not be the coach that takes this team to a Stanley Cup championship, and that's okay. Maybe a lot of these guys need a little bit more time marinating before they could be legitimate superstars, if they even get to that level, and then you have yourselves Jean-Charles Lajoie. Let's refer back to the article here. A mutual resignation for Martin St. Louis with the Habs? When JSC was asked when Martin St. Louis would be fired, he responded that he would only leave when Martin St. Louis decides to. During an appearance on QUB Radio, Lajoie made a statement that sparked a lot of reactions. According to him, Martin St. Louis will resign by mutual agreement with the Habs. I'm not saying it'll happen tomorrow, but it's not true that he embraces defeat to that extent. I refuse to believe that. What exactly is it that he's referring to here? Well, I'm pretty sure he's talking about how the Canadiens are not a good team and how they're not winning games. Is Martin St. Louis going to be a part of that and willingly put himself in a position to continuously lose out games and be a part of this losing record team and everything? How long is that going to last? JIC is saying it's not going to happen tomorrow, but if Martin St. Louis does not embrace defeat to that extent, the conclusion here is that Martin St. Louis would not want to stick around for an extended amount of time. He believes that the Montreal Canadiens will never fire Martin St. Louis, particularly due to his relationship with Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton. That doesn't mean, though, that St. Louis will stay forever, not by a long shot. And, I don't know, I'm kinda conflicted on this. Even the comments on the YouTube video are going out there and disagreeing, pretty much, like, oh yeah, why would he go out there and want to depart from this ride at this point in time? Obviously, JIC's not saying right now. He's just saying at some point. But really, when you think about at some point, that kind of dives into whether or not you believe the Montreal Canadiens should be in a position to do better than they're doing right now in some certain amount of time, right? It's like, Martin St. Louis is not an idiot. I don't think he is, at least. And at the same time, I don't necessarily think that Martin St. Louis is the main reason why the Habs sucked the other day against the Rangers. No matter who was managing the bench on that night, the Montreal Canadiens just did not have it in them to compete against that Rangers team. And there are going to be games like that throughout the course of the season. Is that surprising? No, it's really not. I don't think many Canadiens fans expected a significant amount better than that in this upcoming season. Like, sure, there were those saying the Habs could have contended for a wildcard spot and they could be in that running to maybe start being more competitive this year. But that was all with the idea that Patrik Laine would not have gotten injured. I mean, add that guy onto the team, add on another lethal offensive powerhouse of a goal scorer, then who knows how much the Canadiens' success would differ in this season. But all that went sort of down the drain when Patrik Laine was announced out. And now the team has so many more injuries that it's really difficult to fully dispute the idea that the Montreal Canadiens are going to be bad. So, seeing the team blow that game against New York, I don't really think it's reasonable grounds to conclude that Martin St. Louis at some point is going to resign as the Montreal Canadiens head coach. I do think it's maybe inevitable that, of course, one day he's not going to be the Habs coach anymore. He's obviously not going to live forever. But where is that departure going to come from? I feel like him signing on to be the Habs head coach in the midst of a rebuild, it kind of signals to him that he knows what he was getting into, right? That was always sort of the discourse surrounding the Montreal Canadiens and St. Louis as the head coach in the first place, that this guy is a smaller superstar who had to work his way up from nothing to become great, and he knows everything, every step of the ladder that needs to be accomplished if anybody wants to be anybody in the National Hockey League. So having this guy as the main guy in Montreal who is giving the pointers and allowing these players to grow and exhibit development, that was always going to be the plan. And having a few years of bad play where the team sucks, or having a game like against New York where the team sucks, even though expectations might have been a bit higher, I don't think it's enough to fully conclude that, hey, Martin St. Louis is just going to straight up and away leave the team in the midst of the team being bad. Like, if the Montreal Canadiens slowly start getting back up to speed and they start winning again, which is very well possible in the next year or two, is Martin St. Louis going to step away then? Probably not. And there's already been a commitment to both parties that, hey, the Montreal Canadiens and Martin St. Louis are going to work together to try to get these guys up to where they need to be over the next few years while the Canadiens are rebuilding. That was always the plan, right? So, for me personally, I don't really think it's going to happen, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Links are going to be in the description to both the video interview on QUB Radio, as well as the article on HabsFanatics.com. Do you think that Martin St. Louis, at some point in the next little while, let's just say foreseeable future, is going to resign as the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.